Hey guys, I'd like to welcome you to the commentary edition of my 2010 Halloween Yard Haunt video. If you haven't seen the original version of this video, which contains all the Nox Arcana music and doesn't have my big mouth rambling on and on and on incessantly, then just go, if you want to see the original, just go over to at seasonofshadows.com in the blog archive section. You can find it in there. And also, if you go into the haunt section of the website, you'll find it under the Halloween 2010 page. It's at the bottom of the page, embedded there. Prior to getting started on my commentary for just talking about little background stuff and things that were happening when I was making the video, I'd like to thank Goldie for her suggestion for me to create the commentary on this video. I really appreciate that. If you've been to seasonofshadows.com, then you probably know Goldie. She's a great friend of mine, and I liked her idea on doing commentary about this video and decided to run with it. So thanks, Goldie. So the entire intro for this video, believe it or not, was actually shot in the backyard of my grandparents' house. I was really looking for a location that would look abandoned, possibly out in the woods, a place that had been forgotten and not really had much attention paid to it. And I decided to go with their backyard. It was kind of a tricky thing to do because though they have a lot of land, they have about 3/4 of an acre. My grandpa he loves to build, and he has just built building after building on this land. Number one being their home, number two being a two-car garage, several sheds and workshops, and all kinds of great stuff out there. But in this shot here with me digging, just a few feet back behind me to my right is actually the house. And off to the left of the shot, just a few feet to the left, is the garage, and then some work sheds and that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a tricky thing to do. I had my eye on shooting this at the river, actually, but and I wanted to do it at nighttime there, but it was going to be hard to try to, guarantee I had privacy, and also the lighting was an issue. The light here in the intro is all coming from a street light that my grandparents had installed in their backyard. I did a lot of digging in these segments here. I probably shot like 15 minutes of digging and then whittled it down to these fast, sort of like little clippets or snippets, clips of just dig, 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 and catching different angles, swinging it around. It was pretty chilly that night. I think it was about 20 degrees out. So I was wearing a couple of jackets. That flannel jacket that I have on there is actually turned inside out. I didn't have a black flannel jacket, so I went with that one because it's navy blue on the inside, and in the lighting it really looked like it was a black color. I had like a black hood over my head. I did have that inside the jacket. And then this shot here with the corpse was kind of tricky to do with the shroud. So I shot it about 8 different times and then pieced it together. That shot there is supposed to look like you're down in the grave. And as I'm pulling it back, if you look closely, you'll actually see me in the shot as well, which I wasn't trying to do. I didn't want my face in there. But I ended up in it anyway. And this piece right here on the original is accompanied by the sound like that. And I recorded that and then put it into Audacity and actually reversed it. So I think that sound is on a reverse to make it sound a little bit spookier. Another funny little fact of what was going on that night when I was filming that video is just out of camera shot. Thankfully, they stayed out of the shot most of the time, but the cats, my grandparents have like a lot of strays that come into the yard and they take care of them, and they're wonderful about doing that. But there were cats running all over the place, and even there's a skunk that has taken home there in the yard as well, and he's really good. He doesn't spray or anything, and I saw him a couple different times running just right outside of the range of the camera, so he was off to the side. So in revealing details like that, I think that gets rid of the spookiness factor in this video. Now, another part that was my voice is right here, the Season of Shadows. When I did Season of Shadows, of Shadows, of Shadows. Of course, I only recorded it as a whisper, and then I ran that through Audacity and put the echo on after. This shot here is of the corpse. That's the same corpse that was down in the grave at the end of the intro. And I faded out on him and then wanted to fade back in on him for the yard haunt. And I actually filmed the yard haunt prior to the intro. The intro was filmed about 2 weeks after Halloween. This is the Angel of Death here, his wings, the material. The material is a muslin material, and I want to again thank Autumn Forest for her suggestion about using muslin because it was extremely lightweight, so it worked out really well there. And it was also very receptive to dye. I ended up using a RIT dye because the muslin material originally came as a white color, and obviously that wasn't going to work at all. So I picked up a black RIT dye and was able to get a gray color out of that. Another big change this year to the haunt was all the different pumpkins. I think all total there were 38. A few of them came out of my garden. The rest came from like grocery stores and stuff. And then I did have like 2 or 3 that came from a local farmer as well. A huge inspiration for me on those pumpkins came from Ethan Black's wonderful artwork. Ethan's a very talented Halloween artist and a visitor to seasonofshadows.com, and he did send me some artwork back in August, I believe now it was, to give away on the website. And because of that, in Ethan's artwork, I saw this tremendous image that he had created that had pumpkins everywhere and corn shocks and all of that. And of course, my pumpkins, the amount that I had in the haunt didn't actually come anywhere near the amount that are portrayed in Ethan's artwork. I probably would have needed about 70, 80, or 100 pumpkins to really fill it all up out there, but that was a big inspiration for me. The corn shocks, I came to the conclusion I was going to do corn shocks like that back in March of this year. I missed not having corn in the haunt last year, and I knew I didn't want to go back to the big wall of corn that I had built back behind the haunt in 2007 and 2008, primarily because it was too time consuming was one of the issues, and then the way it was very reflective of the light was another thing. So I decided in March to do the shocks, and I really enjoy the look that the shocks created. There's actually 4 shocks that I built, but one is kind of obscured in the darkness off to the left of this shot as I back out away from the haunt here. Another thing that was different this year was the fact I didn't go with tombstones in the yard haunt. I wasn't really feeling the store-bought anymore, so I went with wooden crosses this year, all very old planks of wood that are being repurposed in my yard haunt now. And that's it, guys. That's the end of the commentary. A huge thanks to Nox Arcana. They were so tremendously kind in allowing me to use their music in this video. Can't recommend their work enough. All the albums that were in here are fantastic albums. Grim Tales, Shadow of the Raven. Quite a bit was used off a couple songs here off of Shadow of the Raven. And I appreciate you joining me for the commentary. And as the video just said there, happy Halloween.